Bonjour, bonjour, good day everyone. I'm doing this little video on installing a device here called a Thunderbox made by a British company called Tech. Reason being, I changed my motorbike for a Suzuki GSX8S at the end of September, and I'm not particularly happy with the way the headlight is in making me visible. So I want to fit spotlights, and I've got other things on it such as an Apple CarPlay device, etc. Now, what I've done on my last two vehicles is find a switched live and install a relay which all my accessories would run through. Now on my Kawasaki Z650, that was a pain in the backside to find a switch live. My Moto Guzzi was relatively easy, and the Suzuki somewhere in between. There's a switch live in the headlight, but that means running the cable, taking the headlight off, etc. This is brilliant. This is really designed for people with very, very little electrical knowledge. If you have a look at it, it's got an input and an output. This is the input, and it's got three wires, red and black for positive and negative, and a white control wire. And these are the outputs. They go to standard Wago connectors. That's the positive, and that's the negative. And I've got the 16 amp version, so you can connect up to 4 devices on this. Now, how it works is that you connect it to the battery. When the engine fires up, after around 5 seconds, it springs into life and switches on automatically your accessory devices. When you turn your engine off, this dies after about 5 seconds and basically switches all your accessories off. So there's no danger of leaving, for example, heated grips on and flattening your battery. It's got 3 modes. Automatic is just as how I explained it works. Then you can wire in this white control wire if you want to a switch live if you want to, and then the thing will come alive when you switch the ignition on and turn off when you switch the ignition off. The other option for this is the third option, where you connect this white wire to this terminal, which has the black wire, and that switches the unit off completely. Now, the reason I can see for doing that is if you've got a battery charger, when you put the battery charger on, this unit will pick up the increased voltage and switch on, and all your accessories as well. So if you want to just disable the unit, you do that little white wire, which I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. I'll probably put something like a switch in there when I charge the battery. I mean, the battery's not on charge every day, but that's the reason I think you can disable the device. Terms of cost, it's 65 British pounds, which isn't bad. The device itself is fully encapsulated in resin, so it's weatherproof. And what I'm going to do now is actually put it on the bike, find a location for it, and start rewiring the bike in effect to tidy up the battery. At the moment, I don't have auxiliary lights. That's going to come in the next couple of weeks. And what I'm going to do now is actually just prepare the wiring ready, so it's all neat. And when I've got the auxiliary lights, I'll be able to just connect it up to this thing. So see you in a bit. Okay, I've taken the seat off the bike to try and find a place to put the Thunderbox. This is where I'm going to put it, underneath the pillion seat. And I've run the positive and negative wires underneath all the brackets here, ready to connect to the battery. Now, it's not a right and wrong way to do it. It'd be quite easy to actually put the unit this side. What I didn't want to do is have everything cluttered near the battery and the airbox, whereas really I don't use this space here. I used to keep a rag in there and a visor cleaner, a little tube of visor cleaner, but I usually go around with a tail pack on, so that's got all my cleaning gadgets in, all my puncture repair kit, etc. So this space is really unused, so I thought that's the best location for it. I've also just put the passenger seat on as a dry run, just to make sure that it does fit and it does lock properly, which it does. So my next step now is to actually disconnect what's on the battery here and connect up the Thunderbox unit. So I shall do that now. Okay, I've wired the Thunderbox in. You can see the battery has got hardly any terminals on it. It's got this one and this one, the positive and negative here, are actually for the Thunderbox itself, and that wire there and that wire there are for my battery charger, which lives here, for my Optimate, which I'm keeping in, and it seems to work and charge when it's plugged in without switching on the Thunderbox. The Thunderbox I've mounted just behind the seat, and I've connected the USB terminal, so that's the red wire going to the USB, and that's the negative black wire going to the USB. Now, to prove a point how it works, the USB switch is there mounted on the handlebar, and I put it in the on position. Now, if I turn the ignition on, nothing much happens, and it's also connected to the CarPlay, so I'm going to start the bike up, and you'll see that there's no power gets to this for a few seconds, which is how it's meant to work. So let's fire the bike up. And there you can go. Now I've turned the engine off, and it'll stay on for a few seconds. I think up to 30 seconds it says in the manual. So the Thunderbox is, there we are, about 5 seconds, and it powered it off. So that's how it's actually meant to work in the automatic mode. So it looks like, luckily, when I put the battery charger in, it's not turning on the Thunderbox. I shall experiment with that. If it does, then I will take this white wire, put a switch in it, so I can disable the Thunderbox when I'm charging the battery. But at the moment, it all seems to be working A-OK. Now, I'm in a position now. I'm going to wait a few weeks till I've saved some shekels and buy some auxiliary lights. I've got some brackets on order to go on the fork. I'm not sure how well they'll work. When I've done that, I'll continue this video, do another sort of little chapter and wire in the auxiliary lights themselves. What I'm about to do now is actually put in my heated clothing socket. I use a gerbing jacket and the gerbing gloves, which keep me warm in the winter. And at the moment, I've got an adapter, so I'm plugging all my heated clothes into a standard SAE socket. But I want to actually fit a dedicated gerbing socket, which I've got a couple of spares, and wire them into the Thunderbox. While I'm at it, something else I just remembered. This Thunderbox basically acts as a fuse box as well, so if there's too much current, it'll switch itself off. But Heeltech also recommend, if you get an accessory with an inline fuse, you keep that inline fuse, just to let you know, because that's pretty important. So the gadget I'm about to put on now, i.e. the heated socket, that's got an inline fuse in it, that'll be staying. Also the wire for my USB's got an inline fuse in it, and I've left that in place as well. That's behind all the plastic and the like here. Well, it's now about 3 weeks after I filmed that last clip. I bought some lights. They're only about £23 from Amazon. They've taken a few weeks to come because they come from China, where most of these things are made. In the meantime, what I've done with the Thunderbox, as you can see here, I've wired in 4 devices. I've wired in my gerbing socket for my heated clothing, which you'll see just there, the USB on the handlebar, and also the Apple CarPlay. And the lights arrived this morning, so I've wired those in. Now, what I'm going to do, I've ordered another switch. So at the moment, when I turn on the ignition, turn on the engine, the lights come on after around your 5 seconds, as per expected, and go off 5 to 30 seconds after you switch off the ignition. But what I want is a switch on the handlebar. So I've actually ordered one, again from Temu. It was £2 as opposed to £11 for the same thing on Amazon. I've ordered another switch here, which I've wired in, and that can switch on and off the CarPlay, because the CarPlay hasn't got an on-off switch. It acts on the voltage. So as soon as this Thunderbox becomes live, the CarPlay springs into life, and I don't always want it on. So that's how I've actually wired it. I'm going to tidy it up a bit, although it's not too bad at the moment, and put the switch in. And one tip I was going to give you, I've got one of these. This is how I tend to feed wires through the bike. It's an electrician's fish wire or draw wire, whatever you want to call it. It's fiberglass rods that's screwed together. and you can sort of poke that underneath the tank, tape your cable to it and put it through. It's a lot easier than just trying to feed a cable through, which obviously has got some flex in it. So overall, I'm really, really pleased with this. It seems to all work, and I'll just sort of give you a quick demo now. Right, let's ignition on. So you can see the dashboard is firing up. I've got a warning light on for a service because I disconnected the battery, which is a bit of an annoyance because I think there's a way of resetting it, but I'll leave it till the proper service is due. So what I'm going to do now is actually fire up the bike, and then you'll see the lights come on, and there's also an LED on the Thunderbox. So let's fire the bike up. So all in all, I'm really pleased with this little gadget for 65 quid. They ship worldwide, so if I've got any viewers looking stateside, they definitely sell them in the US, and no doubt they'll sell them in EU countries as well. So the company is called Tech, and they seem to be universally stocked, as my main dealer has got them on the accessory shelf as well. So I hope this video was useful to you. Say, I'm not an auto electrician, so if I'm doing anything you think is wrong and you know better, let me know. And again, if your electrical knowledge isn't that good, don't do this. Get a professional or get a book out and watch some videos and learn. Something else actually before I go, I'm now going to take it out for a test ride up to my local cafe, the Owl's Nest in Llandovery in South Wales, and see if anybody flashes me at being dazzled. If they do, I shall deflect the lights downwards a bit. I think I've got them right, but the only way I'm actually going to know is take it out on the road. Right, bye-bye.